Just make sure sometimes that there's stuff in the background too. Yeah, there's some apps in the background that might be causing that. So, all right, so let's go back to the app here. Hopefully that's gonna fix the problem. All right. Okay, so we're live, everyone. Shalom. All right. We are the Wakened by Yahuwah Assembly. We're going to be doing today. Shalom, everyone. I'm Brother Doug with my mom over here to my left. And so we're going to be doing our regular Haftarah reading, but today's a special one. Today's our Tabernacles Haftarah Torah portion. So I'll be starting using my Lexham English Septuagint here. I'll be reading from Exodus 33 to 34. I do have my Targums and Pentateuch right behind me here, so in case I want to check them and see any differences there. All right, so here we go. It says, the command to leave Sinai. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go on up from here, you and your people whom you have led out of the land of Egypt into the land that I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to you, give it to your seed. It's interesting here. We're already seeing Yahuwah's kind of passing them on. Moshe is like, they're your people. Mm-hmm. They're your problem. So that's kind of interesting. And I will send my Malach, or my messenger, along before your face and drive out the Amorite, Hittite, Perizzite, Girgashite, and Hivite, and Jebusite. Interesting. So the Malach, the messenger of Yahuwah, is the one that's killing all these giant tribes. Interesting. And we kind of see the same situation in the book of Isaiah with the messenger of Yahuwah killing the 185,000 Syrians or Assyrians. So very interesting. And I will bring you into a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will certainly not go up with you because of the stiff-necked people that you are, lest I consume you on the way. And people hearing this ominous, I like how they modernize it a little bit here, ominous report, lamented grievously. And Yahuwah said to the sons of Yasharel, you are a stiff-necked people. Watch out, lest I myself bring another plague upon you and destroy you. Therefore, remove your splendid garments and ornaments now, and I will show you what I will do to you. And the sons of Yasharel took off their ornaments and their adornments from Mount Horeb onward. And Moshe, taking his tent, pitched it outside the camp, a long distance from the camp. And it was called Tent of Witness. And it happened, anyone seeking Yahuwah would go out to the tent, which was outside the camp. Whenever Moshe went out to the tent outside the camp, all the people would stand watching each one beside the doors of his tent and observe intently from the time Moshe departed until he entered into the tent. It's very interesting because if we think about it, where was Yahusha impaled? He wasn't impaled in Jerusalem. He was impaled I think it was outside the city. Mm-hmm. Golgotha would have been outside the city. So I just kind of find that interesting. There's a parallel between Moshe and Yahusha. Yep, go ahead, Joshua. I see your hands up. I think you might have yourself muted.
I think it's verses 2 through 5 is really interesting. He says he'll send his angel, but that he himself, so he'll send Yahusha, but he himself, Yahuwah in his fullness is not going with them. And then in verse 5, he tells them to put off their splendid apparel. I just kind of find that very similar to the discussion that we had earlier, that we we can't see him in his fullness, that we have to see only a figure, a form of him in the form of Yahusha, and also that Adam and Eve lost their first appearance or apparel.
Yeah. Great point, brother Joshua. Actually, that's the context of this. Is the reason he's telling them to take off their splendid apparel is because he's kind of ticked off at them. You know, their neckedness, tongue twister there, is causing him to say that to them.
Yeah.
He's actually saying, for my Lexham here, you are stiff-necked people. So he starts off by saying, then he tells them to take off their garments of splendor, which, by the way, splendor and esteem are like the same word, just FYI. So when you see Yahuwah talking about his splendor will pass Masha later on in this chapter, it's referring to his light, his esteem. Also, I believe it's talking about Yahusha, but we'll talk about that later as I finish this chapter, how the esteem of Yahuwah is another name for the right hand of Yahuwah and how that connects to this chapter later on. But they can't see him face to face. They can only see his exact representation or his form. They can exactly behold his fullness, like Brother Joshua just said. So let's see, where did I leave off here? Verse 8, I think, beside the doors of the tent. Like I said, I found it interesting too that outside of the camp, Yahusha was impaled outside of the city. So I find that little parallel interesting between him and Masha. Whenever Masha entered into the tent, the pillar of the cloud came down and stood at the door of the tent, and it spoke with Masha. So this pillar of a cloud is speaking. I wonder who that is. And all the people were watching the pillar of cloud standing at the door of the tent. And after standing, all the people bowed down, each one from the door of his tent, and Yahuwah spoke with Masha face to face. Now, here is where agnostics and atheists are probably gonna, they're probably like, contradiction. He spoke with him face to face, but then Yahuwah says no one can speak with me face to face and live. We're gonna explain all that. Just hold on. We're going to explain all that. Okay, so it says he spoke with Masha face to face, verse 11, just when a person talks with his own friend. And he would return to the encampment, but the attendant, Yahusha, son of Nun, did not go out of the tent. And Masha said to Yahuwah, look, you yourself say to me, lead this people up. But you yourself have not made known to me whom you will send along with me. Yet you said to me, and whoa, this makes a lot of sense. Why the Jerusalem Targum I think it's in Exodus 6:3 talks about the word of Yahuwah. The name of the word of Yahuwah was not revealed to them, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now this is starting to make sense because Masha he doesn't know who this messenger is that Yahuwah is going to send before them. It seems like Masha never met him for some reason or never recognized him. He's saying, who will you send before us? Yet you said to me, I know you more than any other, and indeed you have found favor before me. If, therefore, I have found favor before you, show yourself to me, that I may see you clearly, so that I might find favor before you, and that I might know that this great nation is your people. Now, it's important to notice the word nation here is being used as a group of individuals. It's not talking about a country. So just FYI, it's not using that as a landmass. The word nation there is not being used as a geographic location or anything. Okay. I don't know, Joshua, if that's a new hand up. You want to mention something?
Yeah, new hand. So if he's appearing to Masha in the pillar of cloud, and he's speaking to him face to face, but then he's saying, you have not shown me whom you will send with me. And we know the one that he's sending with him is the angel of Yahuwah. Is the angel of Yahuwah a different version of Yahusha than the pillar of cloud?
Maybe, or maybe the pillar of cloud, they really didn't see anything with the pillar of cloud. They maybe just saw a form of someone. They didn't really see an exact image in a way, kind of like the pillar of cloud maybe was Yahusha's shadow, and they didn't really recognize him. Possibly that's the only thing I can think of, because Mosh is acting like he doesn't know who this messenger is that Yahuwah is sending before them to kill the Amorites and all that. Like he's acting like this is a person he never met.
Right.
So the only thing I can think of is that he only knew the personification or the personality of the Father. He never met the word of Yahuwah yet for some reason, which actually goes along with the way the Jerusalem Targum phrases Exodus 6:3, is that I was their Elohim, or I was Al Shaddai to them, but by the name of the word of Yahuwah, it was not revealed to them. So it seems like this person known as the word of Yahuwah, that we know to be Yahusha, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob even didn't really know him. And we'll go to that later on, what I'm referring to, Genesis 32, correlating with this, how Jacob wrestled with the person, the word of Yahuwah, but I guess he didn't know who he really was. He just kind of said, I see the form or the image of Elohim was revealed to me. And so it wasn't like Yahusha probably in his fullness wasn't revealed to Jacob. It seems like it was kind of like he saw the form of the Father, but he didn't really know who exactly he was, because Yahusha originally came as a man to wrestle him. It says a man wrestled with him. So it's very possible that Jacob didn't really know exactly who this was, but it was revealed to him that the exact representation of the Father wrestled with him, the form of Yahuwah, the image of Yahuwah. So that's a good question, Brother Joshua. That got me a little stumped too. I had to kind of try to wrestle that in my mind, like what.
It's very similar to how we see his shadow in the Tanakh, and we see his fullness in the renewed covenant. Very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's almost not even allegorical. That's like a physical and literal shadow. Yeah, that's cool how the physical, literal connects to the spiritual. Yeah. So it says, now you're saying here, a nation that is great as your people, and you responded, I myself. So now Yahuwah is like, all right, fine. I myself will go along with you, and I will put you at ease. And he responded to him, if you yourself do not go along, do not lead me up from here, how will it really be known that I have found favor before you, both I and your people, except if you go along together with us, and I will be honored, both I and your people, from all the peoples that are upon the earth. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, indeed, I will do this thing for you, which you have said, for you have found favor before me, and I know you more than any other person. And Moshe said, manifest yourself to me. And Alua said, I myself will pass by in front of you in my splendor. Notice how it says in my splendor. So you could say in wisdom. I will speak on my name, Yahuwah, before you, and I will have mercy upon whoever I will have mercy. That you should put an asterisk next to that verse.
Oh yeah, that's a big.
He will have mercy on whom he wants to paraphrase that. And I will have compassion on whomever I will have compassion. And he said, you cannot see my face, for a human cannot see my face and live. And Yahuwah said, look at a place beside me, stand on this rock, and when my splendor passes by, then I will put you into a cleft of the rock, and I will shelter you with my hand over you. So now he's likening his hand to his splendor until I have passed by. And then I will take my hand away, and then you will see what is behind me, but my face will not appear to you. Okay, so we see here little shadows, little hints to who his right hand, who his splendor actually is. His splendor is not just light, but it's a person, it seems it's hinting at. And I just want to go to Genesis 32, 29 to 30 and show you a cool connection here about the splendor of Yahuwah, okay, who actually wrestled with Jacob here. Okay. Let's see, 32, 29. Okay, so start here. Let's see, actually, let's go a couple of verses up here. Yeah, let's start from 22, verses 22 to 30 here. After rising up that night, he took his 2 wives and 2 maids. He's talking about Jacob's, his wives and his maidservants, and his 11 children, and he crossed over the ford of Yabuk, and he took them and crossed over the brook and carried all his things across. Yaakov remained alone, and a person wrestled with him. Okay, they could have just put man there. I know they're modernizing that a little bit too much. So a man wrestled with him until morning, and he saw that he could not prevail against him. And he touched the broad part of his thigh, and the broad part of Yaakov's thigh became numb when he wrestled with him. And he said to him, "Send me away, for the dawn has come." He said, "I will not send you away if you do not barak me." He said to him, "What is your name?" He said, "Yaakov." And he said to him, "No longer will your name be called Yaakov, but your name will be called Yasher-al, because you have prevailed with Elohim, and you are mighty with humans." Yaakov asked and said, "Reveal your name to me." And he said, "Why do you ask my name? For it is wonderful." And Yaakov called the name of that place Form of Elohim, for I saw Elohim face to face, and my life was spared. Now this completely reconciles what we just read in Exodus 33. It's almost like puzzle pieces being put together here. So the form, the image, like Paul says in Colossians, of Elohim is this messenger of Yahuwah, Yahusha, pre-incarnate, taking on human form. And so this puts this together, because if you look at Exodus 33 a certain way, which I know a lot of people do, they think that's a contradiction. You're saying you can't see me face to face, but then it says I'm going to speak to you face to face as a friend a couple of verses earlier. It's almost like contradictory. But what Yahuwah is saying in context, like Brother Joshua brought up earlier, is you can see his fullness and live. You can see the fullness of the Father right in front of you and live. Because he even tells Moshe, "Go to the side of me," right? So that's the context there. So I was just trying to show that how cool. I see a little picture of the oneness here, to be honest. So I find that interesting. He's actually calling this person Alua and saying he saw Alua face to face, or saw Elohim face to face. So I find that very interesting. So that was Exodus 33. Brother Joshua, I'll let you go, and then we'll do 34. If you got anything to add before we.
Oh no, I think that's an old hand.
Okay, cool. All right, just checking. All right, no problem. Okay. Yeah, sometimes Zoom is they're a little late with things like that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so let's get back to here. Okay, so far my Lexham is not failing me with the way it's worded. It's not too bad so far, but I'll keep an eye on it. Sometimes it gets a little too modern. All right, so new stone tablets. So this is the renewal of the first covenant here, okay? New stone tablets and the renewal of the covenant, Exodus 34. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, "Carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone." So this is interesting. Now Yahuwah is trusting Moshe to actually write the tablets himself. In the first time, Yahuwah does it with his finger. So I find that a little interesting. Just like the first ones, and come up to me on the mountain. And I will, oh, okay, so he's still going to do it. Okay. And I will engrave on the tablets the words. So I guess he's just trusting Masha to carve the tablets, like to actually make them into tablets from rock. Okay, now it's making sense. Okay, that were on the first tablets that you shattered. And get ready for the morning and ascend Mount Sinai and stand there with me on top of the mountain. And no one should come up with you or appear in all the mountain. And flocks and oxen should not graze next to that mountain. And he hewed out 2 stones of tablets of stones, just like the first set, and rising early, Moshe went up to Mount Sinai, just as Yahuwah had charged him. And Moshe took the 2 stone tablets along, and Yahuwah descended in a cloud and stood near him there, and he called out the name of Yahuwah. Okay. And Yahuwah passed by right before him, and he called out, Yahuwah, Alua, compassionate, merciful, long-suffering, full of mercy, and trustworthy. I'm going to make a little note about that verse right there, trustworthy, because we're going to see how the Peshitta of the New Testament connects that to Yahusha in a verse in Revelations. Write something down here. So that was chapter 34, verse 6 right there of Exodus. And cross that with Revelations 3, I think it's 3:18 or 3:16 in the Aramaic New Testament. So we'll go to that after we read this chapter, show you what I'm talking about there. Okay. And maintaining righteousness and mercy to thousands, forgiving lawlessness and unrighteousness and sin. And he does not acquit the guilty, bringing the lawlessness of the fathers upon the children of the children, down to the 3rd and 4th generation, and acting quickly. Masha, bending down to the earth, bowed, and he said, if I have found favor before you, may my master. Now this is what I don't like. Sometimes translators add in the my there. Let me just check something real quick. I'm going to go to the Bretons and the ABP Plus to see if that's correct. Sometimes they mess around with this. For whatever reason, they want to sometimes have Kurios as referring to him as master. This is where it gets really weird. I've seen this sometimes where they add the English word my where it's not supposed to be there. All right, so let me just there. Let's see. So verse 8 I was just at. Okay. All right. Yeah, what's weird is they have my there, but the ABP Plus is putting the English of Kurios in all caps. So maybe it's supposed to say, if I have found favor, may my Yahuwah go along for us. That's fine. I would actually agree with that. It should be Yahuwah there, rather than a lowercase master. You know how they put lowercase Lord in English. So yeah, I would actually agree. It should probably say, or if my is actually supposed to be there, that not maybe originally it was supposed to say, if I found favor before you, Yahuwah go before us, something like that. May Yahuwah go along with us, for the people is stiff-necked, and yourself taking away our sins and our lawlessness, and we will be yours. And Yahuwah anointed Masha, look, I am setting a covenant in place for you. I will perform wonders in the presence of all your people, which have not occurred anywhere in the earth or among any nation. And all the people among whom you yourself live will see the actions of Yahuwah, because the things that I myself have performed on your behalf are marvelous. Be mindful you yourself regarding everything that I myself have commanded you. Look, I am casting out the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hittite, the Hivite, the Girgashite, the Jebusite right before you. Be mindful of yourself, lest you establish a covenant with the dwellers in any land which you are going into it, that it not become a snare for among you. You shall take down their altars, and you shall break up their set apart pillars, and you shall cut down their sacred groves, and you shall burn the graven images of their mighty ones in fire. Okay. Now, another thing to note too, this is talking about specific tribes of peoples, not saying to do that to everyone. It's talking about the Amorite, the Hittite, the Girgashite, the Canaanite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, to burn down their altars and to break up their pillars. You shall cut down their sacred groves, meaning their Asherah poles. You shall burn the graven images of their mighty ones in the fire. For you shall certainly not worship other mighty ones, for Yahuwah Alua is jealous regarding his name. Alua is zealous. What if you establish a covenant with the dwellers on the land, and they whore themselves after their mighty ones, and sacrifice to their mighty ones, and they invite you, and you share their slain offerings? So everyone that wants to say Paul in 1 Corinthians 8 is telling you not to worry about eating an animal sacrificed to an idol, those that interpret that as, or that you're weak because you want to be careful not to eat something sacrificed to idols, you might want to read Exodus 34, because then you would be calling Yahuwah weak. He's actually telling you not to do so. So just saying, I think people are misunderstanding Paul's letters. Even in our movement, they're misunderstanding his letters, that he's giving you the go-ahead in the New Testament to eat whatever meat. Don't worry about where the meat comes from. Don't worry about whether they offered it to idols. I mean, if Paul's saying that, then he's contradicting Torah. I mean, it's that simple. So I would like to trust that that's not the correct interpretation of Romans 14 and 1 Corinthians 8. But anyway. Okay, so it says, if they invite you in to eat their slain offerings, and you take some of their daughters for your sons, and give your daughters to their sons, and your daughters whore after their mighty ones, your sons whore after their mighty ones, you shall not make molten mighty ones for yourself. And you shall observe the festival of unleavened bread 7 days. You shall eat unleavened bread, just as I have commanded you, during the appointed time in the month of new grain. For you came out of Egypt in the month of new grain. As for everything that opens the womb, the males are mine, every firstborn of the calves and the firstborn of the sheep. And you shall redeem the firstborn of a beast of the burden with sheep. But if you will not redeem it, you shall pay its value. You shall redeem every firstborn of your sons. You shall not appear before me empty-handed. You shall work 6 days, but on the seventh day you will not stop. You will stop. You will stop in seed time and in the harvest time. And you shall observe the festival of weeks for me, the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the beginning of gathering in the middle of the year. 3 times a year every male from among you will appear before Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. Now, mind you, this is Exodus 34. We haven't gotten to the full Levitical priesthood system where it changes in Deuteronomy 16. If you saw our study from the other day, you should watch that to get the context of this, because it changes. They can't just give him tithes from wherever they are. They by the time it gets into Deuteronomy, Yahuwah even says, I think it's Deuteronomy 12 or 14, where he says, no longer will you sacrifice to Yahuwah anywhere you like. How today men are doing everything that seems right in their own eyes. So I really recommend you read Deuteronomy 12 to 16 to get the context of this, because this is, mind you, this is prior to a full instituted Levitical priesthood in Exodus 34, just to get you context here. Because I know some people get confused and say, well, it seems like we don't have to go to a temple to give them tithes. No, well, this is prior to Deuteronomy. Remember, Exodus chronologically is before Deuteronomy. So Deuteronomy, things change. Yahuwah has the prerogative to alter his law. He has the prerogative to add to his law. We don't have the prerogative. He does. So anyway, just wanted to explain that. So appear before Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharel, for when I cast nations out right before you, and I expand your boundaries, no one will desire to possess your land. When you come up, present yourself before Yahuwah your Elohim 3 times in the year. You shall slay no blood of my sacrifices upon leaven. And the sacrifice for the feast of Passover shall not remain until morning. You shall bring the best of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim. Notice now this, he's already getting specific here. This is interesting. Verse 26, what does he say? Bring the best of the first fruits of your land where? Into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim. Okay? You shall not present a kid in its mother's milk. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, write these words down for yourself, for I am establishing a covenant upon these words with you and Yasher all. Okay? So this is like the beginning of writing scripture here. Like he's actually writing down these commandments that Yahuwah is commanding him. And Moshe was there in the presence of Yahuwah 40 days and 40 nights, and he did not eat food, he did not drink water, and wrote these words on the tablets of the covenant, the 10 words. And actually, that's more accurate than what we call it today, the 10 commandments. It's actually the 10 words or 10 sayings. And as Moshe came down out of the mountain, and the 2 tablets were in the hands of Moshe, but as he descended from the mountain, Moshe did not know that the appearance of the skin of his face began to glow. Here's another parallel to Yahusha, transfiguration. Okay, Moshe technically beat Yahusha to the first transfiguration.
And the 40 days and 40 nights of fasting too.
So technically, Moshe was a what Christianity would even call today a type of Messiah. When he spoke to him, and Aaron and all the elders of Yasharel saw Moshe, and the appearance of the skin of his face was radiant. And they were afraid to go near him, and Moshe summoned them. And Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation turned and came toward him. And Moshe spoke to them. And after these things, all the sons of Yasharel came out to him. He commanded them all the things that Yahuwah commanded him on Mount Sinai. Okay, and when he had finished speaking to them, he placed the veil over his face. Now, this is key here, because I believe this is where Paul's pulling from, where he talks about men should have their face unveiled when praying and prophesying, and women should have their face veiled. So even though it doesn't expressly command this in Torah, Paul is speaking about something that was already in their culture, pretty much. As you can see here in Exodus 34, verse 33, when Moshe went to the people, he took the veil off of the front of his face. So this was part of their, or actually it says he put the veil on. Sorry, let me correct myself. So he put the veil over his face when he spoke to the people. The veil was off when he talked to the Father, when he was in communion with the Father. To me, I find that's eerily similar to what Paul talks about with the face coverings and the head coverings and all that. But whenever Moshe would enter into the presence of Yahuwah to speak to him, he would remove the veil until he came out. And upon going out, he would address all the sons of Yasharel about whatever Yahuwah had commanded him. And the sons of Yasharel saw the face of Moshe that had become radiant. And Moshe replaced the veil of his own face until he entered to talk with him. Very interesting. So that's the end of our Torah portion part of this reading. We're going to be going next to the prophets. But before we do that, let me just check. I have a feeling my battery of my phone. Yeah, it's already down. It seems like it's going back up. It's at 35%. I'll just have to keep an eye on it. I might have to switch the SIM into that other Nokia phone. That's what I might have to do. But right now it seems okay. It seems like it's actually going up a little bit, the battery. So we'll see. So let's see here what we're gonna do. I think we'll end the live. Okay, and we'll start a new recording for my mom. She'll be reading from our prophets portion in the book of Ezekiel 38 to 39.